Hi, I'm Matt Bailey, and welcome to the brand new, expanded Weekend Notes. Our top story this week, Eric Church took home the coveted Entertainer of the Year trophy at this year's CMA Awards. Here's a little bit of his acceptance speech.
It's going to be music that brings us out of this. That is the one thing that is going to save the entire world. Politicians are about division. Music is about unity. And I promise you, it's going to take everybody in this room to unite.
Maren Morris was the biggest winner of the night, taking home 3 awards for CMA Single, Song, and Female Vocalist of the Year. Luke Combs took home 2 awards for CMA Album and Male Vocalist of the Year, and Old Dominion won CMA Vocal Group of the Year. Dan and Shay accepted trophies for CMA Vocal Duo of the Year, and Morgan Whalen received CMA New Artist of the Year. Staying in Music City, last week, the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame announced their class of 2020. Steve Earle, Bobby Gentry, yes. Kent Blasey, double yes. Brett James and Spooner Oldham have been elected to the Hall of Fame. The 5 new inductees-elect will be officially inducted during the 50-51 edition of the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame Gala on Monday, November 1st, 2021 at the Music City Center, where, of course, the CMAs were last night, where Eric Church took home Entertainer of the Year. I mentioned that at the top. Of course, could you get a more establishment choice than Eric Church? Give Carrie Underwood her due, damn it. Okay, I'm done. The class of 2020 will be joined with the yet-to-be-named class of 2021 to celebrate the 50th and 51st anniversaries of the event, which was postponed this year because of the ongoing health crisis. Hence, they are calling next year's gala the 50-51. But that means we have all year to celebrate these great artists in 2020. In fact, you can check out our interview with inductee-elect Kent Blasey on the Music Universe podcast. Now for our set list. Stories to give you the rundown in the music business and beyond. Staying with Nashville, are you sensing a theme? The Music Universe has a major announcement. Plus, you'll hear our way wrong CMA predictions. Here with more is TMU Editor-in-Chief, Buddy Yan. Buddy, how are you?
I'm good, Matt. How are you?
Oh, it's always good to talk to you. So we have a big announcement. I host the whole damn show. Why don't you say what's coming up very, very soon for us?
You are going to find Matt and me in Nashville next weekend. So exciting. Never thought I'd say that.
Well, you know, it's been a crazy year. We were supposed to go out to Las Vegas for the Garth concert. Now that's supposed to happen in February. I doubt that's going to happen in February. Right. And this opportunity came to us. We're going out there primarily to cover a show. I can't talk about it yet because it's not finalized, but there was one big thing that I said I'd go down to cover, and we're organizing it. And then I called you, and I roped you into it.
Oh, boy, did you.
Yes, I did. I roped you, and your daughter roped you into it, too. Yeah. And now we're making a whole big event. Your daughter's really excited, isn't she?
Yeah, she's been wanting to come to Nashville, talking about moving there. Who knows? But I told her, and I don't know if that was a mistake or what, but you guys got me out of my comfort zone. Usually I'm a homebody. I've got a lot of pets, so I don't like to leave anyway for a lengthy period of time. But, you know, it's going to be fun. We're excited. We'll be there all next weekend, flying back early Sunday, which is fine because it'll give me time to kind of recoup before we kick off the week. But I'm really excited because it's just going to be fun. I haven't been back since I left in late 2008. So it's been 12 years since I've been there. I know a lot has changed, but I'm excited to explore the city again. Even if I lived there, I would still be a tourist because I just enjoy that kind of stuff. So it's going to be fun. We've got a lot lined up. Follow us on social media. Follow me at Buddy Yan. That's IAHN for the last name. And, of course, the Music Uni. My daughter's likely going. I already told her today, I'm like, hey, get some behind-the-scenes stuff of us when we're filming and doing this and doing that, because we've got a few things lined up that we're not going to discuss yet, just until we have it all finalized. But it would be nice to be there, and then you guys follow us and kind of see what we're working on, and I think it's going to be fun.
I really think so too. Speaking of Nashville, Music City Center tonight, as we're recording this, though this will air after the Country Music Association Awards, the CMAs. Yeah. What are you expecting? And now with Garth out of the running, who do you think is going to go home with the Entertainer of the Year trophy?
It's going to be tough. I'm going to put Luke Combs or Carrie Underwood.
If Carrie gets it, do you think it'll be kind of a... I hate to reduce it, but do you think it's kind of like a oopsie daisy from last year? Like, oh, we didn't read the room, now we'll give it to her. And if that is the case, do you think it reduces the power of her winning Entertainer of the Year?
You know, that's a tough one because, I mean, I saw that show. I saw that concert about 2 years ago now, and it was fantastic. She was great, but as far as will that reduce it, I hope they don't just give it to her because Garth is out of the running. And I don't know, you know, if Garth putting himself aside had anything to do with it. Maybe the industry just, honestly, maybe they were just honoring his wishes, even though that's not technically a move that the CMA said that they can allow, which we've discussed before. But no, I think she's earned it. But I don't know. I think Luke could take it. I mean, he's huge as well. But I guess by now we have known, but we'll have to watch.
Other highlights. What are you looking forward to tonight?
Reba and Darius Rucker are, we knew that was coming, not only hosting, but debuting a new collaboration called In the Ghetto in tribute to Mac Davis. It was a song that Elvis recorded in the mid-'50s. So I'm excited to see what's coming of that. And that studio version, which was recorded last month, will have been released at midnight Eastern. So while it's airing on the West Coast, it'll have dropped. So it's possible I'll have heard it before even hearing or seeing the live version.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's get back to our Nashville trip. What do you miss most? You say it's been 12 years, and I hate to point out, that would mean you left when you were younger than I am now.
Yeah.
So what do you miss most?
You know, the... just the atmosphere. My mind was so set on LA whenever my band was told, hey, we're going to LA. And I just wanted to leave. It's like, okay, I'm done with Nashville. You know, I was there 2 years. I felt like we had been, you know, things had been fulfilled as far as that could take me. But Nashville's a 5-year town. And, you know, I'd never been out west at that point. And so
whoa.
like, cool.
What does 5-year town mean? What?
5-year town, as a musician, usually means you move there and give yourself about 5 years before you have some success or big success. So I gave it 2 and moved to LA for what I thought were bigger and better things. And in some ways they were. But, you know, I think it's time to go back to my roots, and I'm excited. So I miss that, and I just miss the industry stuff. I mean, you know, it's just fun to be able to attend #1 parties and just see people. And, you know, I know things have changed completely since the pandemic, but just even Broadway, all these artists have their own clubs now there, their own bars and stuff. And it'll be fun to see it in person finally.
That it certainly will. Well, Buddy Jan, editor-in-chief at the Music Universe, so great talking to you as always, and I can't wait to see you in person. Before we let you go, I have to tell the folks, you weren't going to come. We twisted, I know we talked a little bit about this at the beginning, but we twisted your arm. What was the deciding factor?
I needed to get out.
Yep.
Really, that's what it comes down to. I needed to get out, and, you know, this was, I think it was a time. You know, I made plans to make sure the pets were taken care of. I'm like, all right, I'm doing this. Let's just go. Let's have fun. But keep in mind, it was only a 2-week notice before we were doing this. So I literally pulled the trigger. My daughter was in my ear. Your ass was in my other ear, and I said I hated you for getting me out of my comfort zone, but we're going to have a lot of fun. So, yeah, follow us on socials and see what kind of fun we're having. But, I didn't get to ask you.
I'll tell you what, folks. I'll tell you, folks, when me and his daughter gang up on him, it works.
Apparently. But what are you looking forward to the most? I didn't get to ask you that.
Probably the Opry. Probably seeing the Opry again. Probably seeing Allentown, because I didn't know that was there when I was there in 2015. Bluebird will be closed when we're there.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe Tootsie's. Maybe we'll get over there. So you'll just have to stay tuned to our YouTube, to the Music Universe, to all of our socials, and see what adventures await us. Buddy, thank you very much. Great talking with you, as always.
Yeah, I'll see you next week.
And a few days after we get back from taking Music City by storm, country music legend and philanthropist Tracy Lawrence has announced the return of his wildly successful charity event with the 15th annual Mission Possible Turkey Fry and Benefit Concert. Here's Tracy talking about the Turkey Fry in our interview with him on the Music Universe podcast.
It was started with me and a handful of friends that had been frying turkeys on Thanksgiving morning for friends and family, and there was just a couple of us, and we got the idea that we wanted to do something for our community, and it was something that we enjoyed, and we thought that we could drive awareness to the plight of the homeless and the things that we cared about. So the first year we did it, we actually borrowed propane tanks from the church congregation where we all went to church, and we got a hold of the rescue mission, and they said they'd let us do it, and we got a bunch of turkeys. And I think that first year we might have fried 75 or 100, with our own personal fryers. And our initial charge, it wasn't about raising money. We were just there to drive awareness to the plight of the homeless and bring awareness to and give a different perspective from just the people panhandling on the corners and all this normal stuff that you see. And after that first year got off the ground, the next year it grew, and we started picking up sponsors. And I fought doing a concert after it for years, but 5 years ago they finally talked me into doing a concert the same day, which was exhausting because that's a long day. I usually get there about 6:30 in the morning, and now that the concert happens, it's 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning by the time I get done. So we cook all day long. We usually cook 500 to 600 turkeys, clean the parking lot up. I'll shift over, do sound check over at the Wild Horse, do media and do our VIP meet and greets, and then start bringing everybody in and do a full show. We did full production shows for the first few years, but last couple of years, we decided that we would just try the guitar pool. It was a little bit more personal, and it just felt like it was a little bit better scenario for what we were trying to represent from all the in that situation. So that's when we do get 4 or 5 acts, and we sit up there and tell stories and play guitar and sing songs and just and enjoy being able to do something great for our community.
This year, the 2-part event will take place on November 24th in Nashville, like I said, just right after we get back, with the Turkey Fry kicking off the day in the parking lot of Nashville Rescue Mission. Now, due to the current health crisis and safety guidelines, try saying that 3 times fast, this year's concert portion will be a virtual live stream event from the Wild Horse Saloon in Nashville via streaming platform Talk Shop Live. That means that Tracy is partnering with Garth Brooks' social media guy, hashtag, for this. So that's awesome. Proceeds from Mission Possible Turkey Fry will go to the rescue mission as they continue their vital work within the homeless communities of Nashville during this time of crisis for so many. More artists are also feeling philanthropic this holiday season. Pearl Jam's Eddie Vedder will take part in Venture into Cures, airing November 18th at 8 p.m. Eastern. The show will feature uplifting stories about individuals and families with a rare skin condition called epidermolysis bullosa. I'm going to stop here and talk a little bit about epidermolysis bullosa. I don't know that much about this, but this is true. My high school, I went to Performing Arts High School. Our high school, her name was Abigail Gillespie. She doesn't have EB, but she wrote a play about a child who has epidermolysis bullosa, and it really pulled at the heartstrings. And when I read that this was happening, it's such a great nostalgic flashback to high school, and I'm lucky that I can say I have good memories from high school, but that's neither here nor there. Now, the fundraiser raises critical funds for research toward a cure for EB and other rare diseases. Vedder is expected to debut a new song as part of his performance. Best-selling SoCal punk rock band The Offspring have released their first ever holiday track, Christmas, Baby Please Come Home. Originally released by Darlene Love, The Offspring put their unique stamp on this holiday classic, available at all digital and streaming outlets right now. Additionally, the Pretty Fly for a White Guy, there could have been a Mike Pence fly meme in there somewhere. The Pretty Fly for a White Guy singers will release a limited edition holiday red 7-inch vinyl with the new song. The vinyl will feature a custom etching on the B-side of the band's iconic logo. Now, check this out for all you Travis Tritt fans. This is so freaking cool. Tritt is set to perform the national anthem for NASA's SpaceX Crew 1 mission, scheduled for today, right now, Saturday, November 14th, as this is premiering, at exactly 7:49 p.m. Eastern. The Crew 1 mission will launch from Launch Complex 39A at NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Pre-launch coverage, including Tritt's performance of the Star-Spangled Banner, filmed from his home in Georgia, will air live on SpaceX's website, NASA television, and the agency's website. And finally, in our set list, legendary all-female Los Angeles rock band, the Go-Go's, iconic lead vocalist of the Runaways, musician, actress, and artist Sherry Curry, celebrated jazz and rock drummer Cindy Blackman Santana, Evanescence frontwoman Amy Lee, and comedian Margaret Cho, boy, that's an amazing lineup, are all among this year's diverse recipients for the 2021 She Rocks Awards. The show will be held virtually and will coincide with the virtual NAMM show. The 2021 She Rocks Awards will be hosted by Hallstrom's Lizzie Hale and take place this January. Tickets and VIP offerings are open to the public. A VIP gift box and after party are available for the ultimate She Rocks experiences. And now for a new segment we are proud to bring you, featuring artists you need to have on your radar. We call it Jam Session. Earlier, I spoke with Carl Ray, an African-American musician who has been writing and singing for decades. We talked about Charlie Pride's Lifetime Achievement Award at the CMAs, racism in country music, and what has kept him going for all the years he's been doing this. Carl Ray, welcome to the show. How are you, sir?
Hey, man, I'm doing good. Thank you for having me. How are you?
I am great. What did you make as I have to ask, as a fellow black country music artist,
Wait,
what did you...
I'm black? Oh, I am.
Yeah, we're going right there. And there's way too few artists of color in country music in general. We'll get into that in a minute, but this is airing the Saturday after the CMAs, Charlie Pride Lifetime Achievement Award. What were you thinking when you saw him and his acceptance speech?
Well, I went back to the very first time I met Charlie, and he was performing in Houston, actually, and I'm in Houston right now. But he was performing at a club called Gillies, and a lot of the younger people may not remember Gillies, but Urban Cowboy was shot there. And a friend of mine, my mentor and coach, Johnny Nash, who's most noted for I Can See Clearly Now, actually called me and said, hey, a friend of mine is performing here in Houston at Gillies, and why don't you come and go with us? And I said, well, who is it? He said, it's Charlie Pride. And that was the first time I met Charlie. And I remember as a young person looking at Charlie and saying to myself, man, I love country music. I want to do this, right? So that was the very moment. And then fast forward over the years, I've gone to Nashville. I've been on interviews. We've talked to media about the importance of what the contributions have been with people of color to country music. And of course, the center of that has always been Charlie Pride. And so for me, it was just very surreal that I saw this man years ago. He inspired me. And then I see him at the CMA getting this Lifetime Achievement Award, and he inspires me still. And I think that is really what we hope to do in our lifetime, or we should aspire to, in whatever we do. If we're here on this earth and we've been given breath, We should find a way to inspire people today, and hopefully tomorrow you'll still be inspiring someone. So I was just so proud, and all of the sleepless nights and the money spent and time just trying to share what contributions Black Americans have made to the industry. It's really paid off, and there's a number of us that have been on this road of educating people at large, and too many to thank. But we see some of the fruits of our labor now, not only with Charlie, but now Darius Rucker, Kane Brown, Mickey Guyton, Jimmy Allen, Carl Ray. I could go on and on. And so I'm just really excited for what country music is going to be like in another 10 years. I think we're going to see a lot more diversity.
Why do you think it's been so long? I mean, we have the argument about the women in country music, and that always comes back to, hey, there were a lot of women in the 90s. It's nowadays that you don't see a lot of women in country, and country radio gets kind of, butthurt about playing women back to back. Why is it with people of color that they've virtually been non-existent in this industry? Is it racism, or is it the appeal of the music? What is it?
So I think that's a loaded question, but
right.
Depending on the time frame, like if you read Charlie's book and you talk to him about racism, clearly it existed in his day, or his record company would have never released his record without really telling people, who he was or his background. So clearly there was a concern about it. Fast forward over the years, it's been just an area where you've got white America mainstream who has been embedded into the music of country music, and they controlled every aspect for the most part. So some of it may have been racism. Other times it may have been also the fact that most of those record company guys and promoters, et cetera, they're trying to keep their jobs. So most of the time they're trying to go with what works. So they'd rather invest in something where they know it can achieve some degree of success, because if you invest a lot of money in an African-American artist during a certain time frame, and we have racism in that era, then it impedes the investment. And so over time, the culture has to chip away at the biases of all of these glass ceilings, whether you're talking about corporate America and you are talking big business, or whether you're talking about the record industry, it's still business. And so you got to break those ceilings. And then that's part of the other piece is sometimes the right material around you, because let's face it, in country music, it's all about the songs. So as an artist of color, for example, I had to really learn how to write good country songs. I wrote R&B, I wrote reggae, I wrote all these different types of songs. But when you try and write a good country song, it's a different path, and it's really about three chords and the truth. So it's not only about racism, it's economic. It's also the ability of a black artist to have support behind him, investors to really make it work. And so now, because you have the internet, it's changed the game somewhat. So you can build your own fan base, you can find your own audience, and you don't necessarily have to rely on a record company per se, even though they're still a valid part of your career and they can make things happen. But I'm saying they're not the gatekeepers anymore totally. So the game has changed.
That's great. Let's talk about your career for a minute. What is your favorite type of music to write? What really speaks to you? Your favorite things to write about, I should say, in country. What really speaks to you as an artist when you're creating?
Well, that's an interesting thought, because, a songwriter for me, it's been a journey. You start off just trying to write a song, cute. You're looking for any words that you can find to try and pen something. Then as you experience things, you start becoming more thoughtful about what you want to say. And so now for me, I really like saying things that cause people to resonate and think about it. For example, just my latest single is "I Stand With This Country," and it's about the heart of man. And it really, what it is, it's a prayer. You hear me singing in a prayer for our country. And then when you listen to when you look at the video really breaks down all political walls, all biases, and it calls us for a higher level of civility, love, and what's in the heart, man, comes out. So if you have hate and anger in the heart, all this stuff comes out. So we can have differences, but let's not hate one another. Let's not try to harm each other. And if you know something is not true, don't say it. Don't lie. So let's try to have some civility, because we're going to always be different. We're going to always see problems and solutions differently. But we have to learn to live together as one and leave this world to the people who are coming behind us, because it is not just about us. So it's about the people who are coming.
I love that. Real quick before we let you go, I want you to tell this story. It's in your bio, in your official press kit, but I don't think it's the full story. First of all, you've been in this business for decades. You had a point in the 90s where you weren't sure if you were going to continue. And literally at the moment that you were like, well, I don't know, the phone rings, you pick it up, who's on the other end?
Yeah, so I call him my angel, and it was Garth Brooks.
Yeah.
And, again, when I used to go to Nashville and I would pitch my songs, and I had spent a week in Nashville just pitching songs, and one publisher after another would say, yeah, I love your songs, Carl, cute, good, but they're really not good enough. And they would play, 30, 40, 50, 60 different songs in their portfolio, and they were really, really great songs. And the light bulb went on for me that I really still have some more work to do as a writer. And so, but I left Nashville, and I was so disappointed, in what happened that week. I just, when I got back to Tulsa, I was living in Tulsa at the time. When I got back to Tulsa, I just said, man, I'm not doing this anymore. Forget those record people, forget those publishers. They don't know anything. Forget them. Don't they know who I am? No, just kidding. So I was having a pity party, and it was Christmas Eve, and my wife said, Carl, we're going shopping to finish Christmas shopping. Do you want to go? And I was still waddling in my own pity, and I said, no, I'm just going to stay here. And so I stayed. They left, and I was sitting on the floor, and I was still just upset, and I said, I'm done. I'm literally done. And when I said that, the phone rang. And a friend of mine owned a local dealership in Tulsa, a Dodge dealership. And he said, hey, Carl, this is John. I'm sitting here with someone who's buying a vehicle, and I think you ought to meet him. I'm going to bring him by. I lived about 10 minutes away from there. And I said, okay. And it wasn't the first time John's called and said, hey, I'm coming by. So I said, okay, great. And so no John showed up in 10 minutes. So about 15 minutes later, John calls. He says, Carl, I can't get out of the dealership. So I'm going to let this guy talk to you, and then I'll come back on the phone. I said, okay. So guy gets on the phone. He said, hey, Carl Ray. I said, hey. And he said, hey, listen, this is Garth Brooks. And I said, who? He said, this is Garth. I said, man, you and John Brown, if you guys don't stop playing with me, it was something to that commentary. I'm going to come down there and whip both of your butts or something. I can't remember exactly what it was. No, he said, no, man, this is Garth. This is Garth, man. I said, man, this is not Garth Brooks again. He said, Carl, he said, I'm telling you the truth. This is Garth. And then I heard it in his voice, right? And he said, hey, man, listen, I was buying a vehicle, and I was trying to fill out the paperwork up front, but it got too crowded. People were coming in, heard I was there. John brought me to his office. And in those days, I had a little cassette player with my music on it. It was my first CD called I Love Country Music, and it was really crappy. I mean, it wasn't even. And so, but John loved it. He loved the song, and he played it all the time for anybody. So when Garth came in, John had the music playing. And Garth said, well, who is that? And so he probably meant to say, well, who's that singing that bad? But John said, well, that's my friend Carl Ray, and he's an African-American singer. And Garth said, hey, can I call him? And John said, no, we can do better than that. We can go see him. He's right around the corner. That would just floor him, Garth. Let's test drive the car and go see him. That's why they were going to come. but he couldn't get out. So Garth said, well, let me call him. So he called. And he said, hey, man, I just want to tell you that I like what you're doing. Keep writing. He said that, this business is a tough business. And he said, it'll knock you down. It will, it was that kind of conversation. And he said, but just don't forget about the one who gave you the gift. 'Cause that's the real thing about music. No one can take that away from you. And so he didn't say, hey, man, meet me tomorrow. I'm going to take you in the studio. We're going to record this duet, But what he did for me was, and he had no clue. John didn't know what I was doing, that I've been moaning and moping. But it was for me, I felt like God was saying to me, here's your Christmas present. And the Christmas present is to know that I have the ability to bring whatever you need. If I want you to have it to your doorstep, Carl, and I can bring the best. And Garth Brooks at that time, for me, was the best. And so I got up, dusted off my jeans, so to speak, wiped my snotty nose, and I said, thank you for giving me that message about hope and about you are there. And when we're looking for Christmas presents and when we're looking for our dreams to come true, sometimes we're so focused on the present and wanting things that we forget the blessing that we have every day. And God has the ability to give us the best. And this Christmas, we're going to be celebrating Christmas. And through his son, Jesus Christ, he gave us the best. So he keeps giving and giving. And so when I think of Charlie Pride, back to your original question, he kept giving of himself, even when he heard negative things about him as a person, or maybe they didn't like him. And everybody doesn't like Charlie Pride, I will tell you.
Right.
Even in my own community, African Americans, even for me, they say things, why are you singing this hick music, And I don't know what hick is. I just know it's good music, But you have racism not only in white America, you have it in Black America and all areas. So it goes back to forget about the color. It's all about your heart.
Carl Ray, this was a true pleasure. Thank you very much, and best of luck with the new single.
Yes, sir. God bless you.
Those are your weekend notes. Remember, you can always check out themusicuniverse.com for the latest music news and reviews. Also, be sure to follow us at The Music Uni on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We will be posting updates in real time from our trip to Nashville, and then the following week, because we won't have an episode of Weekend Notes next weekend, the following week, we will have some content from Nashville. We're going to trickle that out slowly. Got some really cool plans in the works. Can't tell you about them because they're not firmed up, and I don't want to jinx it by talking about it before it's in the can, but I'm really, really excited. So I'll just sign off and say I'm Matt Bailey. Stay safe and have a great weekend.